Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me welcome you to the Burke County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Tuesday, March the 19th, 2024. I'll call our meeting to order, and at this time I'll note that all of our commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioner Mulvey, who is out of town. Our finance officer, attorney, and county manager also present. Let me ask you to silence your mobile devices. If you've got telephones and other things that is going to make a noise, please take care of those at this time. And I'll ask if you come to the podium to speak tonight, please be sure you turn on the microphone. The red light will come on. That way everybody will be able to hear you and we'll get a good recording. We're pleased to have with us tonight Pastor Jeff Lovett, retired pastor in our county, and I'll ask Brother Jeff to come and lead us in our invocation, and then we'll remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by our county attorney. Let's stand together, please.
Before I begin, it's good to see the girls from East Burke High School here, and guys, I should say. I hope they're going to cheer us on tonight. Anyway, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we're thankful so much for the opportunity to be here tonight and express ourselves in community. We are proud of this community, and we live in a time in which, I guess all times are this way, there's always challenges, and we know that everyone's here tonight because they have a certain interest and concern about our community. We know, Father, that the responsibility for a lot of what happens here rests on the shoulders of our commissioners. And just pray, Father, for them, that you'll give them wisdom. Help them, Father, to be the examples I know they already are and want to be and continue to be. We pray, Father, that tonight's meeting will be blessed by you. We thank you for your grace in Jesus Christ. In his name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Please join me in the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That pledge sounded really good tonight with a good full house. Thank you all for being here. This brings us to item 4 of our agenda tonight, the approval of agenda. Gentlemen, you've had the agenda for review for several days. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that's 4-0. Item 5, approval of meeting minutes. We have several meeting minutes to approve this evening. December the 4th, 2023, Board of Commissioners pre-agenda meeting. December 19th, 2023, Board of Commissioners regular meeting. January 2nd, 2024, Board of Commissioner pre-agenda meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve these unless there's some correction.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes as stated, as cited by yourself.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that's 4-0. Item 6, presentations. We have several presentations this evening. Our first one comes as recognition of the East Burke High School cheer team. And I'm going to ask Commissioner Smith to lead us in this recognition, and we'll ask Coach Sabrina Baker to come forward. And Sabrina, tell us a little bit about your team, and then we got some things to present.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sabrina Baker, and I'm the cheerleading coach at East Burke High School. First off, I just wanted to say thank you guys for this recognition and this honor. These kids have worked so hard this season, so just getting to be here tonight, we just truly appreciate it. Our team this season, this is our first competition team under my direction. So we had a lot of new this season. We've competed at UCA Regionals. We've competed at the NCHSAA Invitational. And then we went to NCCCA and we won our very first state title for East Burke High School. So this was something that was incredible for our program and we are super excited about. We had 2 cheerleaders who also made the North Carolina All-Region team, and they are eligible for the North Carolina All-State team. So we've had huge accomplishments this season, and we were led by our 3 seniors, Emma Stamey, Leland Buchanan, and Mason Davis. So a lot of accomplishments this season by everyone who was involved.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say as a 1979 graduate of East Burke and a former principal, coach, bus driver, student council advisor, assistant principal, I'm tickled to death to be able to have a part of this tonight. Thank you for letting me share in it.
Thank you. We do have a special presentation that we want to give, but I wonder if you guys might do a cheer or something for us. But is that?
We might have a cheer up our sleeves that we can
okay.
do.
Well, you come on up, turn around where the crowd can see you, and
We'll stay up there. Yeah, we can toss them on up. All right, so they're going to come up here and do a cheer for you guys. We're going to face this way. All right, right up.
all right. Well, just keep your place right there. We've got something we want to present to you, and I'll ask Johnny and myself going to come down and join. We're going to get I guess it's going to be a wide lens photo tonight. So.
Oh, get in front of the mic.
I want to get in on this a little bit too. I'm actually a 1984 alum of East Burke High School, and I'm exceptionally proud of all of you guys. And this is the first ever. That's amazing. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Smith.
Everybody squeeze in. Oh, y'all might have to squeeze in just a little more. There you go. On 3, 2, 1. Thank you. And I'm an 84 grad too.
Again, congratulations to this group, and thank you again for being here tonight and being a part of our meeting. I know we still got a few folks standing. Now that we've got some chairs, why don't you take just a minute and come around and find you a place to sit. I think there's plenty chairs to sit. All right, this will bring us to our second presentation tonight. This is a proclamation declaring March as National Social Work Month. And we are pleased to have with us a number of our social workers in the audience tonight, and we're going to recognize those in just a moment. But I'm not going to read this entire proclamation, but I do want to share just a couple parts of it to take a moment to recognize what social workers do for us in our communities, not just Burke County, but across the state and across the country as well. Social workers enter the profession because they have a strong desire to help empower individuals, families, communities, and our nation to overcome issues that prevent them from reaching their full potential. Social workers have worked for more than a century to improve human well-being and enhance the basic needs of all people. Social workers positively touch the lives of millions of Americans each day and in a variety of places, including schools, hospitals, the military, child welfare agencies, community centers, and in federal, state, and local government. Social workers adhere to a code of ethics that emphasize advocating for fairness and equality and acknowledging the inherent value and dignity of every individual. The 2024 Social Work Month theme is Empowering Social Workers, embodies the need for society to support social workers so they can continue to do the life-affirming work they do and help address social needs. Social workers in turn endeavor to work throughout our society to meet people where they are and help empower people to reach the goals they wish to attain. Social workers are the largest group of mental health care providers in the United States, working daily to help thousands of Americans overcome mental illness such as depression and anxiety. Social workers are on the front lines of the nation's opioid addiction crisis, helping people get the treatment they need and prevail over substance use disorders. Social workers help people cope with death and grief and help people and communities recover from incredibly challenging life events, including natural disasters. Social workers help all people, regardless of race, religion, color, national origin, age, sex, or disability. The social work profession is one of the fastest growing careers in the United States, with about 728,600 social workers today, and more than 53,800 more social workers expected to enter the profession over the next decade. Social workers have continued to push for changes that have made our society a better place to live. So therefore, in recognition of their numerous contributions made by America's social workers, the Burke County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaimed the month of March 2024 as National Social Work Month and call upon all citizens to join the National Association of Social Workers in celebration and support of the social work profession. So with that, I'm going to ask Commissioner Smith to recognize a number of our social workers who are here with us tonight. And Bill, if you'll do that.
I hope I get everybody that, I've got a list of people here that I know that's here. Some of the other ones may be here, and if I don't say your name, please feel free to stand up. But Hope Hembry, Catherine Hardy, Kelly Herr, Kelly Burke, and Garrett Smith. And I want to tell you, anybody that says that Burke County workers, and particularly the DSS, doesn't earn their pay, I'll have to disagree with you. Sometimes I think my son Garrett there is a high school coach or a principal. He comes in so late at nights, but I'm proud of him and all of you. Thank you for what you do. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve proclamation number 2024-02.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Smith. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that is all of us. Do we have any other social workers in the audience tonight that we didn't have your name? All right, I'm going to ask you guys to come down. We want to take another moment just to get a picture and recognize you again, and again say how much we appreciate what you guys do. This brings us to item number 3, Meals on Wheels presentation. This will be presented by Alana Louder, nutrition coordinator for us. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me tonight. So the Meals on Wheels program is about addressing food insecurities, malnutrition, help combat social isolation, and help seniors improve their overall health with the program. The program is funded by our Home and Community Care Block Grant through the Federal Older Americans Act. The funding is given to the state of North Carolina. They use the intrastate funding formula to distribute these funds to each of the 16 regions. The local Western Piedmont Council of Government receives these funds and works with their local Burke County Council on Aging, which is a commissioner-appointed board. They receive those fundings and they determine how much each provider gets for that fiscal year. As a whole, Burke County receives around $665,401, which is state and federal funding, of which $137,335 is allocated just for the Meals on Wheels program alone. We served about 127 seniors during the fiscal year of 2022 and 2023, which equaled roughly 21,061 meals in that year. We have 13 routes in Burke County. We have 6 that come out of Morganton. We have 4 out of Hildebrand, or 4 out of Valdez, I apologize. 2 out of Hildebrand and 1 out of a partnership in the George Hildebrand area with a local church. This week is actually Community Champions Week, which is a part of March for Meals. The annual March for Meals celebration commemorates the historic day on March 22nd of 1972, on which President Nixon signed into law a measure that amended the Older Americans Act of 1965. This included a national nutrition program known as Meals on Wheels for seniors ages 60 and older. March for Meals has been celebrated through programs across the country since 2002. This year, Meals on Wheels programs from across the country, they join forces to get their local municipalities, their commissioners, county management involved and able to go out into the seniors and deliver meals to them and advocate for them with the Meals on Wheels program. This week, actually, we have had the honor of having 2 of our local representatives. Hugh Blackwell was able to represent today, and then we have on Thursday Ronnie Thompson, who is the mayor of Morganton. He was able to come out. We have been able to, for the past 4 years, to serve our Frozen program. We were able to serve this program with our grants. We have the CARES Act, Family First Act, Supplemental Nutrition Fund, and ARPA. Those grants totaled $379,584. We served roughly 53,839 meals from January 2020 to February of 2024. These boxes were comprised of 5 meals per box, and they were delivered each Monday or available for pickup for those that were available. Our goal with this program was to reach those outlying areas such as Jonas Ridge, Chesterfield, Lake James, and the South Mountains. So we were able to serve a great deal of people in that way as well. Meals on Wheels is always available for donations, and we always encourage volunteering. That is something that we strive to have a lot of. If you would like to donate, we will take cash or check to the Burke County Senior Center. Just be sure to make the checks payable to Meals on Wheels. If you are interested in volunteering in any way, shape, or form, please contact us. We are always accepting applications for volunteers. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lana. What a great program, and means a great deal to many of our seniors throughout Burke County, and thank you for what you do. Any questions for Lana on this program? All right, seeing here none, I'll entertain a motion to accept this report as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the report as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. It's 4-0. All right. Now for a much more exciting topic, tax department updates. John, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. It is a taxing job we have. If somebody had asked me when I was about 12 years old, what did you want to do when you grow up? Taxing is not what I would have said. So, but my job here tonight is to give you an update on the operation of our tax office here in Burke County. So if you have any questions as we go, feel free to stop me. So what we're going to talk about is real estate market trends, the in-house tax data review and audits, improving our collection rate, on-site software training, interdepartment collaboration with the Register of Deeds for deed certification. So market trends and sales ratio. Sales ratio is the difference or the ratio between the selling price and the tax value that we have on a piece of property. So if a property sells for, if we have a property valued at $200,000 and it sells for $100,000, then we have a value ratio of 2. If it was $200,000 and sold for $400,000, that would be a ratio of 50%. So what we have here is a timeline of how the sales ratio has changed, and you see that in 2019 it flowed along there in the early or late 2010s and then went up 2019. That was because of the revaluation, and then the not stock market, but the real estate market started increasing, and the ratios began going down. As the sale prices went up, the ratio goes down because the tax value does not change on a piece of property unless someone does something to their property, such as adding a new building, new construction, or something like that. So with the 2023 revaluation, we were very conservative in what we were doing our valuation. We did not want to overvalue the property. So we got our sales ratio up to 97%. And you can see from that on into 2024, we are already 14% below the sales value. The sales value is 14% above the tax value. So here we got comparison with Burke County with some of our peer counties, and you can see how they all tended to drift down over the years. And you see the light blue line there in 2021, that's Cleveland County, and that's when they did their revaluation, and it brought it back up high. And so then the other counties there did their revaluation in 2023, and so they were back up high again. The ratio was almost close to 100, but you can see how Cleveland counties had dropped. So next year, if we looked at this again, our bar would be lower. In-office data reviews and audits, we're required by law to review so many of our elderly exemptions, the present use valuation, which is farm use or forestry, and our exemptions such as churches and nonprofit organizations, to see that they are still qualified. Occasionally someone will be getting elderly exemption and that person will die, and we don't know about it, and the property still continues to get the elderly exemption when it's not eligible. So we are collectively reviewing all the samples that we can get, and so that people who actually deserve to be on the elderly exemption or any kind of exemption, disabled veterans or whatever it may be, that they are truly qualified and that it's helping those citizens and not putting a burden on the county. So we're doing field review audits on the property to make sure that our information we've got is correct. And with the elderly exemptions, disabled veterans, the elderly exemptions is a requirement that a person has to be 65 years or older, and their income from all sources, Social Security, pensions, bonds, lottery winnings, gambling wins must be this figure there for 2018. That, excuse me, that changes every year based on the Social Security cost of living adjustment. For 2024, the income is $36,700. So if the total income to the home is less than $36,700 and they're over 65 and they own their own home, then they're qualified to get the reduction. And it's the same with disabled veterans exclusion. That requirement is they have to be a disabled veteran from 100% in-service activity or event, and there's no income requirement on that. So as I said, we were doing field reviews on present use valuation for forestry. A person has to have a minimum of 20 acres in production of forestry. What they're doing when they get the present use valuation, they're telling the state of North Carolina that they intend to cut these trees for timber at some point in time. If somebody wants to just save the trees because they want to conserve the forest or whatever, that's not qualified. They need to be at in the active production of timber for the timber market somewhere down the road. So our tax collection rate, you can see the tax collection rate here for Burke County over a period of years, and it dropped down during the pandemic, and then it's gone back up, and so we are as high as we have been for a number of years, and we are real proud of that, because that means the more percentage of the taxes we collect, that means the more that you guys have to spend, and the less you can have to tax the taxpayers on other taxes, because you've actually got more money to spend. So on-site training, our software training, we have had our software company come and do some on-site training for us, which was very beneficial. They came last week for the first time, and everybody thought that it was very beneficial to them, and that's just great, because we have a robust tax software, but it's because it is so robust, it is somewhat difficult to use for somebody that doesn't know the system. Deed certification. The state of North Carolina, excuse me, the state of North Carolina passed an ordinance, a statute about 2002 that authorized counties to do deed certifications. And what that is before a deed gets recorded at the Register of Deeds, it has to be certified that any delinquent taxes on that property are paid. Because if I were to not pay my 2018 taxes and then sell the property to someone, then they're responsible for my taxes. And so this is a way to protect the taxpayers, to prevent them becoming responsible for taxes when they didn't even own the property. And so this is a collaboration between the tax office and the Register of Deeds office to do this, and it can get involved, particularly when there's multi-parcel sales, or that and multiple people involved in the selling of a piece of land. So the benefits are increased accuracy and validation of our tax data, and it prevents fraud, that somebody's just selling a piece of property and they don't even own the property. So that's a check on that as well, to prevent somebody from being swindled, paying somebody money for a piece of land. They're buying a piece of land from somebody that doesn't even own it and can't sell it legally. So thank you. Any questions?
All right, thank you, John, for that report. Any questions for John?
Yes. Mr. Bridgers, I got a couple here. How often do you review the present use value? How often does that occur?
Well, it has not occurred in a long time here in Burke County. So we are set up on a program to go through the system as all the parcels we have as rapidly as we can, and then we're going to put them on a 4-year cycle. And it's really, because it has not been done in a long time, that it's kind of painful to us and to to the property owners because they've not been through it. They don't understand, why are you doing this? You've never done it before. So sometimes it's a matter of updating the forestry management plan. If it's agriculture, sometimes they have to verify their income, and because there isn't for the forest, not for the forestry, for the agriculture or the horticulture, there's an income requirement that they have to manage. You can't put land, just vacant land in the present use value that's not being farmed. There's an income requirement. So to answer your question, we're going to be set up on a 4-year cycle.
May I ask, why have we not been doing that? Because it seems like the county's losing a lot of tax value.
I can't answer that. I was not here.
And let's just say that Burke Development Incorporated, BDI, comes in and buys up some property somewhere that is under PUV. What happens to that then? Since nobody's going to be harvesting the trees or something.
Well, if by state law, if it's owned by anybody other than an individual or a group of individuals, such as a family or something of that sort, if it's an LLC or a corporation, that corporation has to be actively involved in forestry or farming, whatever it is. For instance, Walmart couldn't put land in present use valuation because they're a retail business. They're not actively engaged in farming. Weyerhaeuser, forestry company, paper company down in the eastern part of the state, if they were to buy land for growing trees, they would qualify. But when land comes out of the program, then there's a recapture. It's not a tax exclusion or exemption, it's a tax deferment. So what that means is that when the land comes out of the program, there is a recapture of the current year taxes and the 3 prior year taxes, the difference in what they did pay and what they would have paid without being in the program, plus any accrued interest from when the original bill would have gone delinquent.
So if BDI was to purchase some property somewhere that was under an LLC and they were getting the present use value, BDI would be required to pay the present taxes and go back 3 years too?
It's not the person that's purchasing the property, it's the person that owned the property and is selling it.
Thank you, sir.
And the reason for that is because they got the benefit of that deferment, so now they're going to have to pay it back.
Matt?
No, I was just going to add to John's comments and just point out, just for clarity's sake, all taxation in North Carolina, predominantly legislatively, is managed through the North Carolina Department of Revenue, specifically the Machinery Act, which is available. It's an exhilarating read. Outlines all of these tax deferment options, and those aren't local decisions. I just think that's worth pointing out that the tax office doesn't create the requirements. It's all that's set out by the Department of Revenue under legislation from the General Assembly, and either someone meets those or they don't. It's a very rigid process. John and his team are responsible for ensuring income limits are met, ensuring that there's active production. Sometimes that requires driving by and seeing the property. Sometimes that requires seeing someone's federal tax return to make sure that they have a Schedule F at running a farm, or that they are meeting the revenue income. And so when he says, when that's not happening in a routine basis, it seems invasive, but again, his team is simply trying to be in compliance with North Carolina Department of Revenue regulations and state law.
And I want to add, a lot of times I'll ask a question like that. It's kind of like a lawyer in a courtroom. I think I'm not going to ask a question I probably already know the answer to. So sometimes I think the public doesn't understand a whole lot about like present use value, because I get quite a few calls from people around. So thank you for explaining that to us.
Yes, sir.
Other questions, comments for John? All right, seeing here none, I'll entertain a motion to accept this report as presented.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. That's 4-0. We have no scheduled public hearings tonight. This brings us to our informal public comments. I have a number of folks who have registered to speak tonight. I'll remind you, you have a 3-minute time period, and this is a public comment period. It's not a time for question answer. The board will simply listen to your comments and take those to note. This time, I'll open the floor and I'll call upon Jeffrey Howard. And if you will, please state your name and your address, please.
There we go. I appreciate the opportunity. Jeffrey Howard, live up 181. I think Commissioner Smith, last time I saw you, you weren't sporting a beard, so it's looking great. But yeah, just a matter of laziness. But I appreciate being able to speak tonight. I am one of many members of our community who gather regularly with Burke Coalition for Reconciliation in a spirit of love as well as a spirit of protest and protest against the monument to white supremacy in downtown Morganton. Last month, there were about 100 or so of us who participated in an educational walk downtown Morganton where we learned about some of the racial injustices that some of our Black neighbors and friends have experienced, as well as some of their personal triumphs. And I was moved by the many local leaders, civic, religious, business, who were in attendance, and even some who spoke. That included several of Morganton's city council members. People notice when leaders are present and where they are not. Last month, there was also the Black History Month Festival, in which I noticed several county leaders who were present, several behind me. I recall seeing Commissioner Carswell and Commissioner Burns. That meant a lot to me. I know I was not the only one who noticed your presence. Thank you for being there. I know there are at least 2 of you commissioners who are nearing the end of your tenure as county commissioners. And I imagine each of you on the bench here reflects regularly on your legacy of service to our county. You have an opportunity to leave a lasting legacy in Burke County by taking action to remove a monument to hate from downtown Morganton. There are legal avenues you can take to do that. I hope you will find the courage to remove that monument so that people will know Burke County is a community of love and not hate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. I recognize Carla Kincaid.
Good evening, Carla Kincaid. Live up in the community of Oak Hill. Celebrating Women's History Month this month. And that marks, March does mark the history, Women's History Month. And as an African-American woman, we are more than just African-American, we are also women. And we find ourselves balancing the demands of a majority who believe that their fight for gender equity should be ours as well. So as African-American women, how do we celebrate these 2 observances? I maintain we celebrate with the courage of Isabella Baumfree. That was the one that I think that would relate with Confederacy most. Better known as Sojourner Truth. She was born to enslaved parents in Ulster County, New York. Bombay endured a harsh childhood during which she was bought and sold 4 times and cruelly beaten by those who enslaved her. When her enslaver John Dumont promised to free her, but later reneged, Baumfree completed what she thought was her obligation to him and courageously walked away. She left with her youngest daughter in tow, leaving 4 children behind. They were legally bound to Dumont. After New York passed an anti-slavery law emancipating all enslaved people in 1827, Dumont illegally sold Baumfree's 5-year-old son, Peter, into slavery in Alabama. And that happened a lot. Kids were sold right in front of them a lot. With the help of the Van Wagners, an abolitionist family who bought her freedom from Dumont for $20, Baumfree successfully sued for the return of her son. She was the first Black woman to sue a white man in court in the United States and prevailed. She courageously used her voice to advocate for truth, and in 1843, it was this calling that moved her to change her name and embark on a journey to preach the Gospels, speaking out against slavery. Because Sojourner Truth advocated for rights, we can rightfully claim our places as women. And so on this Women's History Month for all women, I salute all women because we all have been through a lot as women. Tested women who call us all to rise, speaking the truth in the finest hours, that to their own power every single woman is entitled, but it's how they empower others that makes women's voices so vital. So congratulations to all women, all women. We carry a lot. So hopefully one day, not only the Confederate statue moves, but we want to see a woman on the county commissioners board. Ladies.
Ms. Kincaid. I'll recognize Mark Small at this time.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Mark Small. I live in Valdez, and I'd like to speak about the proposed Great Meadows industrial site. When I first learned about this, I decided to dig deeper. Despite talks of increased tax dollars, I learned there are no committed companies or signed agreements. So how do we know there'll be more tax revenue? And how long will the site sit empty if developed? Later, I discovered a rail spur was planned. So why do we need a rail spur? Why not just truck products in and out? What materials will be used at the site? Are they hazardous? Is it lithium? If we have no companies committed, how do we know that rail service is needed? There's a proposed conservation site plan from 3 local environment groups, and I'll read from page 7 of that. The proposed site conservation plan highly encourages omitting any rail spur connection to the megasite. While some of the parcels for the rezoning request adjoin the existing railway line, they are all environmentally sensitive and would be significantly impacted by rail development and expansion. In order to connect parcel 11 to the railroad, the spur line would need to be at least 2 miles long to gain sufficient elevation at a maximum grade of 3%. The likely connection point would be through parcel 6, which is the steepest parcel and also contains a sensitive wetland. In light of that, what about the risk of train derailments? In 2023, there were over 700, 17 of those with hazardous materials. Remember East Palestine, Ohio? Do we need that risk here in Burke County, especially near the Catawba River Basin watershed, which could impact millions of people's water source and runs all the way to the Atlantic Ocean? Also, why do we need this site when other industrial sites exist in the county? Jamestown Road, the Gigu site, Stillwell site, Cosby Road, Drexel Business Park, 101 North Main, Morganton, Burke Business Park, Cathy Road, and there's 4 properties that I know of in Valdez. Why are we not pursuing those properties for development? And lastly, please recall the words from the Constitution, which we all know, we the people. Voters are awake and we're paying attention, and I don't think we're going away. And remember, we the people elected you and not some unknown or mysterious corporation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Small. I'll recognize Dudley Green at this time.
Yes, my name's Dudley Green. I'm from Burke County. I know you've seen him here a few times before. And I'm here about this mega site also. I don't think it gives stewards for the citizens of Burke County, in my opinion. The western part of North Carolina is never going to be the same if this comes in. You're destroying one of the most peaceful nature places in all of Burke County. And that's why people want to live at Lake James and in that part of Burke County. I don't see the sense in doing this. To preserve it like it is. And you're not transparent or accountable for any of this. You won't, I mean, it's not discussed open in here. It's discussed when these doors are closed. Number 13 on this agenda. All this is discussed behind closed doors about economic development. And that's what you're doing. You're not being honest with everybody. And I've got a picture recorded on Google Earth where the mega site is listed, and it was from 11/7/22. Is how long it's been on Google Earth as a mega site. And have you been working on this for like at least 5 or 6 years? Yeah, if you do, I don't think you're telling the truth. And the main reason there's no transparency, you've got this in the hands of Alan Wood of BDI. Mr. Wood lives in Winston-Salem. That's his home of residence. He's not from Burke County. Why is he in charge of what happens in Burke County is what I'd like to know. Just because he has a nonprofit, and the reason you're not good stewards, you've handed a state check, taxpayer money, to this man for $35.8 million. And he's going to spend it. He doesn't have to tell anybody where that money goes. I mean, it should be accountable down to the dollar. We're not going to see that, not through him, because he's not required to do it, being a 501c3 nonprofit. I mean, you've abdicated your duties as county commissioners to handle money that's involved with this county and the development. And I don't know what kind of Kool-Aid Mr. Wood is drinking. He says there are 650 workers nearby. I don't think there's 650 workers in the entire western section of North Carolina. I don't know, he's out there. It's a quasi-government entity, and that's a bypass of the constitutional democratic government of this county and the country. Like the man said, we the people. I mean, and you're using him to railroad this through on us. I mean, literally. And I just don't understand. I think it's all wrong. And I'd just like to tell everybody to be at the next planning board meeting on the 28th at 5:30, because conditional zoning is going to be discussed. Now, if you bring in conditional zoning, you're opening Pandora's box. They can set anything in your neighborhood that they want to set in your neighborhood. If you want that, let it go through. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. I'll recognize Caroline Avery at this time.
Caroline Avery, 115 Riverside Court. I'm here tonight representing Burke Coalition for Reconciliation and reporting on the meeting that we had last night at New Day Christian Church. As you know, we've been meeting for 3 years and 3 months, and we meet every month and we talk about this county and that we love so dearly, and we talk about how to make it a better place for all people to live. I think you all know that. And Kim Logan, who's a member of New Day Christian Church, arranged for us to have a 1-hour Zoom with Jamar Tisby, the author of The Color of Compromise, which is a book about, it's a truth-telling book, it's a factual book, and facts are hard. Facts are hard and the truth is hard. You know, the church, this is about the church's role, every church's role in racism in our country. And the church is like me and like you and probably like a lot of you out there. It's not perfect, and we've made a lot of mistakes. And so Jamar Tisby he has a PhD in history. He has a master's of divinity. He graduated from Notre Dame. He's a strong Christian and he's a strong historian. And he talks about how we can do better. And so we had a 1-hour Q&A Zoom a few weeks ago with just 20 people from this county who got to ask him whatever they wanted to, and it was great. And last night, a group gathered at New Day Christian Church to watch a film of that Q&A and to hear him speak. A really smart man, and it was a real opportunity for us because he's a very expensive speaker, and Kim Logan managed to get that for us for free. And so we were grateful for that, and we were grateful to gather. And I just wanted to report to you about that. And I also just wanted to thank each of you for your service, because I know it is hard when you're faced with the truth and with facts and with real data. It's really hard to stand up for what's right. And though you all, we come to different conclusions sometimes, you and me, but I know that your heart is where my heart is, which is doing the best for Burke County and finding compromises that everyone can agree upon. And so I want to thank you all for that, because it's hard and it's lonely and people can say hurtful things. And I hope that you know that we have always been respectful to you and we have always been grateful for your leadership, because I know it's very hard. You see all the facts, and so do we. And so I hope that we can continue to find common ground and compromise and things that will make most people happy. Thank you so much for your leadership.
Thank you, Ms. Avery. I would recognize Wendell Fox at this time.
Commissioners, I'm Wendell Fox from 105 Emerywood Drive, and I've come tonight to specifically address the article that Mr. Epley put in the paper, where he said that my assertions from the last meeting were false. Then he goes on to contradict himself, because the headline was that I said the county stiffed me. I didn't say that, but that's what the paper said. Mr. Epley said that that was false. Then he goes on to say that Foxville has billed $600,000 and they around there, and the county has paid me a little over $200,000. I'm not a Albert Einstein, but I can do the math on that. It's a little short. That doesn't mention the change order that was about $450,000. So I don't know where he's coming from the fact that my assertions are false. He also told them that we abandoned the project. Well, I don't know anybody in this room that would show up to work if they hadn't been paid in 3 months. You know, and they tell you to come on to work. No, that's not going to happen. And then they throw up the thing about us not getting a bond. I've got an email from one of the county employees that acknowledges that they knew we didn't have a bond. And we're told several times that we did a groundbreaking on February 17th. Before the bond was issued, there would be no bond. But we were told the groundbreaking would be done on February 17th, regardless. And then the bond was never mentioned until the county hired outside counsel. And the outside counsel saw that, so the county covered their butt, because if they would have admitted that they knew that we started the job without a bond, then the county's in trouble. So we were transparent throughout the whole thing. I made it very clear to everyone that if that project started without it, there would be no bond. And then they get outside lawyers involved who are supposedly UCC specialists, who I had a friend of mine call and ask that very law firm about UCC rules and regulations. They told him they didn't know much about UCC. So I don't know why the county hired them, but but you can Google yourself. UCC filings are not attachable to real estate or services. So construction is a service. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. I'll recognize Ann Chapman at this time.
Hey, I'm Ann Chapman. I live at Bridgewater Way near the mega site proposal.
On 1,400 pristine acres along the Catawba River and Muddy Creek and Lake James, where I live, the county commissioners and BDI in October 2023 hinted at trying to get an EV battery vehicle plant. The major mistake developers make is picking the property first, then trying to determine what industrial sites will be interested. They mistakenly destroy the land, getting the site shovel-ready in hopes they will come. Instead, they should understand fully the criteria that are required for the site: infrastructure, transportation, topography, wetlands, environmental, etc., and use these as discriminating criteria for selecting a site for a particular company or industry. Several comments made by Alan Wood with BDI and Brian Eppley from articles and videos dating back to October 2023 have indicated plans for bringing in dangerous electric vehicle manufacturing, lithium battery manufacturing, or up to 4 industrial manufacturers on this land. Only recently have they tried to retract these comments, misinforming the public that it will be bringing in economic development to the county. We, the citizens, do not want anything of this nature anywhere near Burke County. These types of plants have proven to be detrimental to the environment. Below are how much water is used for these EV plants, materials that are used in these plants. Lithium is cobalt, nickel. They're all extracted using environmentally damaging methods. Nearly 500,000 gallons of water are used to extract 1 ton of lithium. Researchers are currently finding ways to remove nickel and cobalt from batteries. Battery manufacturing can consume thousands of gallons of high-purity water each day in pre-treatment operations. Where is this water going to come from? People are concerned it's going to be sucked out from Lake James. It'll be taken and then sent down Catawba and Muddy Creek to poison our waters. How bad are the EV batteries for the environment? EV lithium-ion battery packs are made with materials that are expensive and in some cases toxic and flammable. Talking about the railroad tracks and things like that, transportation, hauling this stuff, very dangerous. The primary materials to make these batteries include lithium, nickel, cobalt, and copper. And we just don't want that around our area. It's not a good thing. It's dangerous. So consider thinking about something else, or just don't do it at all, and don't get it shovel ready and wait and wait and wait like Kathy Rhodes been waiting for something. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chapman. That's all the public comments we have tonight. This will bring us on to our item number 9, consent agenda. I'll recognize the county manager to review these 7 items.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 7 items for consideration tonight. Each of these included in your packet and were presented in detail at your pre-agenda meeting 2 weeks ago. Item 1 for consideration is from our clerk, and it's a consideration to appoint Linda Shamlin to seat number 12 on the Council of Aging. Item 2 for consideration, also from the clerk, is consideration to appoint Thad Hodge to the Burke County Smart Start, specifically in the area of Partnership for Children. Item number 3, as you'll recall, the county received a $275,000 grant from the Dogwood Trust Foundation. We've now orchestrated an RFQ process and would like to recommend the Fletcher Group be awarded that substance use disorder eco rehabilitation project. Item 4 for consideration is appointment to JCPC for seat number 12, for that would be a student under the age of 18. Item 5 is from our tax department, your collection report for February 2024. Item 6, also from the tax office, is your monthly refund and release report for February 2024. And item 7 is your annual order to advertise for delinquent taxes for the 2023 year. Mr. Chairman, that concludes a fairly short consent. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any questions on these items? Seeing here none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. That's 4-0. We have no items for decision tonight. This brings us to our reports and comments. And this time I'll start down there with Ms. Margaret.
No comments, thank you.
Mr. Turner.
No comments from me tonight.
Madam Clerk.
No comments, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would just point out I appreciate the boards. Last week, we spent almost 2 full days in our policy setting work session, and I appreciate the attention, the energy. Thought that was a very successful 2 days. My understanding that those were both recorded and will be posted tomorrow, and I would just encourage folks to watch and tune in. I think that was a really good 2-day work session, and I appreciate everybody's preparation and energy during that time. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to inform you and the audience that I met with County Manager Epley today about the meetings I missed on February the 7th March the 7th and 8th while I was in the hospital, and very informative, and I'm sure I didn't get in as much detail as you gentlemen did, but we went through a lot of material and very informative. I wanted to thank him for that. And another thing I want to brag about East Burke just a little bit more. We had our girls basketball team down in Chapel Hill playing for the state championship this past Saturday. We got outscored, but we'll get them next year.
Mr. Burns.
Just a couple of things. I wanted to echo Commissioner Smith's comments about our East Burke High School girls. That was an amazing journey to go undefeated and then make it all the way down there to play Pitt. And they did come up a little bit short on the score, but they didn't come up short at all on heart. Those girls played their hearts out, and I'm just extremely proud of them. Also want to extend my appreciation to the county manager and staff for an excellent budget retreat last week. I'm still digging through some of the materials. As you can imagine, in a 2-day period, you hit a lot of highlights and you get a lot of information, and I'm still digging through that. And I just wanted to say thank you to the county manager and staff, and clerk. I know she works really hard for every event that we have. I just want to say thank you all.
Thank you. Mr. Carter? All right. Well, since we're talking about sports tonight, and I am a NC State Wolfpack graduate, so I would just note that happy to be the ACC champion. A lot of heart went into those games last week as well. So I'll leave that alone at that. I would remind us of our March 26th NCACC District 13 meeting, gentlemen, at 6 p.m. at the Catawba Board of Elections. I'll remind you that on March 29th, our county offices will be closed for Good Friday, and that our Board of Commissioners pre-agenda meeting will occur on April the 2nd, 3 p.m., and then on April 16th, Board of Commissioners regular meeting at 6 p.m. And I would ask for folks to make note that we would like to return to our custom that we had some time back before COVID, actually, of inviting our youth groups in our community to come and lead in our Pledge of Allegiance at the start of our Board of Commissioners meeting. And if you are part of some groups, lead some groups, or know of some young folks who would like to come and lead in our Pledge of Allegiance, we would love for that to happen. And you can sign up via a form on our county's website. So with that, I'll recognize our clerk for vacancy announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen of the audience. We have the following opportunities for citizens to be involved in county boards and committees: the Adult Care and Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee, the City of Morganton Board of Adjustment and Planning Board for the ETJ areas, Burke County Board of Health, Hickory Regional Planning Commission, Drexel Planning Board ETJ alternates, and the Burke County Board of Adjustment.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We do not have a need for a closed session tonight, and so with that, that'll bring us to the end of our meeting, and I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. All those in favor signify by the uplifted hand. That is 4-0. Again, thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate your attendance and your involvement in our meeting.